will have an accusation to make. But this will come after this. First, let's learn about Doodles.
Saying that I was a bad person for empathetically.
So here we have Doodles now addressing the diaper accusations.
This video contains some triggering topics. Viewer discretion is advised. You got what you asked for. So far this year, not only have I been dealing with excessive cleanup from years prior in
the cleanup
SEC, but it looks like once again I'm going to have to deal with excessive cleanup on my end because no one fucking understands anything and still wants to hold shit over my head from nearly a
shit. Literally.
Decade ago. So the inspiration for this particular iteration of me addressing the things that refuse to let me go was Madlib's art, an ex-art commentator who decided to go salted earth when she didn't need to.
Oh, Madlibs! Oh, it is even about the FCK! Yes, I was in the FCK server. A lot of terrible things happened in there. I should have stood up and said something, but I didn't. What a running thing in there. And that's my fault. I left the server and stopped talking to anyone involved in it for years ago, because everything in it didn't sit right with me. Even when everyone tried to tell me it was fine. I should have said something about it, but I didn't. I stayed on extremely distant but decent terms with everyone as well, if they ever messaged me afterwards, but I shouldn't have. I was afraid that if I said anything or didn't play nice, that everyone thought we were friends. Some with platforms bigger than mine would turn on me and throw me under the bus the same way they did to anyone else who disagreed with them. Weirdly enough, it wasn't a problem when you went against Akumu. That should have been my first clue to get out. This does not excuse anything, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry to the minors in that server that were exposed to so much and harassed some members. I'm sorry I stayed quiet. So Madlibs threw Doodletones under the bus, crazy.
On Twitter, February 2024. Of nowhere, may I add, throws extra shade.
Oh, fuck you, Doodletones, for telling me you just had some diaper fetish stuff from 2014. When you liked sexual roleplay as a fucking 8-year-old in the past. Granted, I should have done my research. That one's on me too. I stare at the girl, gently picking her up. Doodletones. The girl can't be any physically older than 8. Wow, I simply say, absent-mindedly reaching out to her chest. She doesn't stop you from groping her. Ew. I hate it here.
On me, after already saying that I was a bad person for empathetically saying someone else could have merely forgotten a screenshot for a situation that they were involved in, for talking about things that people hold me to from so many years ago, specifically mentioning that I called it diaper shit from 2014. Not only is this part
not the diaper shit
necessary in a thread talking about a chat known as the Fruitcake Club, since it had nothing to do with the particularly bad behavior within that chat, but it's also—
I will never stop reading.
Also holding me to a particularly pedantic complaint about something that's still true. Madlibs' complaint is with me calling this stuff diaper shit that I did in 2014.
Madlibs didn't say diaper shit. That's you. That's you.
That people still hold me to, but specifically brings up a particular RP that I did when I roleplayed as a childlike character in 2015.
And I'm not Savior. You wouldn't save me anyway, Chris.
As a way to call me dishonest. But I still did diaper-related fetish.
Oh. Time diapers. Think the age you want to be and you'll become it. However, you'll be a bedwetter. D-diapers. Diapers that never leak, never have an odor. And you never develop a rash wearing them. My contribution to the ABDL community. Crazy.
Shit in 2014 that people have taken issue with, so... you're really just doing Akumu's dirty work for him, and it shows. But in any case, I'm not here specifically to rag on Madlibs, or even Akumu. I'm certainly not happy—
Or even Akumu. Not even Akumu. Can you imagine how crazy that is?
With either, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to compile the history of my involvement with weird fetishy stuff, specifically talk and address the role plays that I did back then, explain how I got there and why, probably once again condemn younger me for getting involved in an environment that could have put me in danger, and
Guys, I was in danger.
for the upteenth billionth time because addressing this shit genuinely never ends and no one ever hears me address it. And I have addressed
Don't worry, Doodles. I will hear ya. I will hear ya.
all of this shit in the past. Too many times to count, frankly. We'll call back to at least one of those videos going through this again. So let's talk about my general journey into the world of fetish art. Before we do, though, I want to make something clear as we go through.
Yeah, Cloudy, exactly. Can I be honest? If she was just for real about her fetish instead of being weird about it, who would care? Yeah, people would make fun of her for like a year or something.
I was born January 18th, 1997. I am 27 years old as of yeah, but if you're watching this in the future, you can do the math to figure out how old I am by the time of you watching this. This time, I'm not holding anything back. I'll talk about some things that I've never talked about before, some things that I had to get reminded of recently, some of it's uncomfortable, some of it's genuinely
Why are you making this video then?
traumatic, but enough time has passed that I think addressing
Yes, Doodle is 27.
this will finally get people to
Or 28,
understand
something
a bit
around
better.
this.
Not that I think it'll do anything to get people to drop the subject. Like, God knows most of these people are only throwing
Then stop giving them attention. No one forced you to make this video. You are at fault. You are making this by your own will. No one holds a gun to your head.
this at me as a way to get me to fuck off, but nearly a decade later, and I have a much better grasp and understanding of what I actually did wrong, and so...
Please, please. Hello, Yen. Sup, gays. Sup, homo.
we can talk about it. Also, it'll just be nice to have this video to throw at people. I think it'd also be a good PSA. You'll understand.
This is a good PSA? Bruh.
Anyway,
Sister.
so to start, let me paint a picture. I've been online most of my life. As little as
Holy shit, EverQuest.
6 or 7 years old, I was allowed on my
6 or 7 years old? That's barely when you learned reading.
mother's computer to play EverQuest, so I'm as terminally online as they come, which has its own brand of issues with it, but we're not going to get into those right now. As I grew up, obviously I had a variety of places that I would frequent.
Why is the voice so nasal? I'm not talking about the voice changer. You know, Stuffy knows. The constant Stuffy knows. Who
That I
knows?
would talk to, and you know, just everything you'd expect a kid to realistically be doing on the World Wide Web. Initially, it started simple. I would be mostly on kid sites like Sticker World,
Yes, Greg, this is the best PSA. More like a good POS, am I right?
Armor Games, Cartoon Network,
Banger.
you know, kid spaces
And hello, Greg. Welcome. Welcome to whatever this is.
that you'd expect kids to be on. The worst in my early years I can remember that I did was created a YouTube channel when I was 12, and the Music Shake
Oh god, with 12 they made their YouTube channel. Fucking hell.
a year later, but generally that's as far as I can remember. It's when I had hit my teen years that things really started to go downhill, as that's when I joined DeviantArt and started posting there. Apparently, I was really into the 4chan rules of the internet at the time because my first upload was of what I had deemed
Hello, Phobia. Welcome to Doodletones.
a simple Rule 63 of myself. Truly, I showed no signs of being trans. No siree. Joking aside, I have no idea where I met the rules of the internet, or even the specific one in question.
Rule 63. For any given male character, there's a female character. I just decided Rule 63 myself. Also, this was me practicing anime. I usually can't draw anime. This is just me practicing anime. Enjoy.
But I recalled that I had them saved on my...
Rules of the internet. Do not talk about B. Do not talk about B. We are anonymous. Anonymous is legion. Anonymous never forgives. Oh god. The cringe. There will always be even more fucked up shit than what you just saw. You cannot divide it by 0. Just because calculators say so. Crazy.
school iPad
Crazy
account,
stuff.
So that's what got me to draw the first iteration of my Sona, posted November 12th, 2011. So what I would have been 14 years of age if I'm doing my math right. By 2012, I would post a few things worth of note on DeviantArt. Apparently by this
Hello, Pimenta! Only 34 matters nowadays, too. Just had some Fruit Loops, actually. They were very delicious. Snacks, you are a Fruit Loop. Lol, hi, hello, Ruma. Hi, Doodle. Smux is a Fruit Loop. Snacks.
point, I was using a social chatting
DeviantArt should be forbidden.
service known as Chatango, a place where anyone could contact you if they wanted to just by scrolling through an extensive user list. Here,
Oh my god, this is just like Knuddels. We in Germany had Knuddels, where you could do an anonymous... You just had to choose a name and could chat with literally anyone else there. That's where we Germans got groomed.
I know I was definitely sent my first dick pic, as that was something that spooked me so much that I wrote a song about it.
Oh my god, a song about a dick pic. Window Predators. This web is based on a true story, not to GIF. Because it's some shit I get on Windows Live. I have a feeling this person is the excuse me, I need to make the voice right. I have a feeling this person is the exact same as the others, because I can't imagine the mothers, and I'm so sick of hearing someone ask ASL. I'd rather tell them to drop it than go through that hell, because when I tell them I won't answer that shit and end the bell, they say I'm 23 FFL, so it's time that shit starts again. They're obviously faking Hardy. Then they ask me, do you like to get naughty? So I know what's gonna happen. I know this isn't true. They then say, that's me in the picture. I wanna give you a present on webcam. But I'm really red right now, and I want to do this quick with you. I say, no way. Then they'll send me a link and tell me to click accept invite so we can play. I know they're getting horny. I know they're jacking off. I know they're imitators of David Hasselhoff. They're just wanting me to grind. Then they cover it up with, this is how I pay my bills, in the behind. Oh, then they say, I don't fuck customers, but you're making me change my mind. And no matter what I say, no matter the chart, all they say is, you're breaking my heart. So if someone asks you ASL, exit the conversation and ring their bell. Amazing. Bravo. Bravo.
And the extra porn bot accounts that would send me links to
Is this a form of digital horror? The history of these people? Yes.
cam sites for Music Shake. As questionable as these lyrics are, the general event absolutely did happen.
Traumatized by a dick pic. Happens to the best of us.
I also had myself as getting a Skype by this point.
Oh. Names blacked out for good reasons. Wow. Skype goes quiet.
Where I would talk to some of my longest friends that I met through a live streaming Minecraft place called Ghost in the Stream.
Ghost in the Stream. Oh. What else do we have here?
Now, mind you, Ghost in the Stream itself used Chatango for its chatbot, so that doubly helps. In the doodle was not where she was.
Quantum, thank you for the 30. Thank you so much. Just because I want you to say it again. Diaper of crabs. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more torture and pumpkin tweets. Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Diaper of the crabs.
Supposed to be idea. I had also confirmed that I.
Oh no, not Imvu. Which character should I go for first? Nymph the Fae, Queen Helen, Bridget, or Lola?
Was a user on a social game known as Imvu, which, if you know what that is, there's not really much of a reason to explain the problems there. Definitely shouldn't be on there when you're less than 18. There's also a particularly...
Listen, Quantum is the best. We all love Quantum. Do something that involves Yuri. No!
Interesting jump between two images, being the first of two dare images that I would make, and the 9th page of a comic that I was creating at the time where we had a character physically...
Oh god. Age regression and objectification.
Mentally age regress to bypass weirdness in the setting, but only to create more weirdness in real life for me. Though one could make the argument in favor of this just being unfortunate implications.
Mm-hmm.
However, the implications are still unfortunate. Recall that by
Very unfortunate indeed.
this point, though, I would have been 15 if my math is correct. Moving on into a...
How do you get into diaper stuff with 15? A transformation world, a comic that will parody 5 different transformation sequences here on DeviantArt. By the end, will you know what they are? Also, before you ask, the door will be explained for now. I let you all question it.
16, I created the Transformation World comic, one where much of the irresponsible and
You couldn't fucking torture this out of me. Let them right there, officer.
gross things started popping up. Specifically, ABDL themes, because gender swapping was like always a thing that I was aware of. That was in like most TV shows I'd
I am wishing the worst. You're welcome, name.
watched as a kid, but these other themes had to come from somewhere, yeah? There's no way I would have just known of this stuff, would I? Hold that thought, because I'm going somewhere with this. 2014, so age 17, still a minor.
Still a minor. I was just 17 and 11 months. Keep that in mind. I'm a minor.
A lot of things start falling into place. So not only do I start getting
People and fetish art, a short rant.
super into fetish content, being super supportive of
I support the gays, the trans, the furries, and whatever this is.
others, and even doing my first error message
First transform RP error. You're on your computer as you are, and this very error message pops up on your screen. You can only close it by clicking one of the below buttons. AR, TG, or other are random. Transformation. I'll try to RP with all of you. I'm not the greatest role player, but I'll do what I can. Just put the OC of which is playing this, and maybe we can have a fun time, but be prepared. My RP may take you out of your comfort zone. I tend to do that a lot.
erotic roleplay that turned
Oh, the third one is a diaper flag. There's a diaper flag! There's a fucking diaper flag! There's a fucking flag for anything.
into what we are eventually going to get into talking about. Creating fetish-centric characters.
The Fat Team. Bun, Emily Smith, Christy Tech Jones, Emma Johnson, Jenny Lynn, and baby Brittany Johnson. Amazing!
Which had gotten me in trouble when a character wasn't supposed to be sexual, but whose themes were questionable at best, started popping up in other people's communities.
Why are you saying all this?
And just all in all getting into content that I should not have gotten myself involved with.
True name. Sometimes I think there's too much pride. You don't need to be proud of anything. Bring back shame.
I even went back and started reviewing some of the content that I already had.
Doodle review. Mika knee harassment. I learned my lesson. I Google on a different tab. Oh! Oh! Oh.
Had consumed to talk about the... right, there it is. So... in my review of a manga called Mika Knee Harassment, one that I did for...
Yes, another review of a sexualish thing. This time it's a manga for my friends Wade and Rina, who I think could use a read-through of this. See, we had a conversation on how they don't much care for fetish art, and I know a lot of people share the same thoughts on that subject. But see, I'm not much into every fetish. However, I understand everyone has their own likes and dislikes, so I don't mind fetish art. However, again, I understand not everyone is as open-minded about the subject as I guess I am. That may be a bit egotistical, but really, let's be honest. Most of you probably never bothered reading Collar 6 or playing Trap Quest. So tell me how open-minded you actually are. I decided to close my mind, actually. My mind is closed and locked. Closed and locked. Do I want this? Do I want to see this? And if you have, congrats! You're pretty fucking open-minded. Anyway, onto the review. Mika ni Harassment is the manga I read to truly respect fetishy art. It's definitely a tad hard to read at first, but once I started, I couldn't stop. For those who aren't able to open their mind and don't have time to read the manga, here's a breakdown review of each book chapter.
For two friends who are not into that kind of content, by the way. I mentioned that this was the thing that got
Maybe your friends have a reason to not be into it. Why would you try to still recommend them something?
me invested in fetish content as a whole.
You know what? I have this friend who says they are not into fetish stuff. You know what? I will show them fetish stuff. They need to open their mind to my fetish.
Obviously, I'm not going to
Oh my god, why would you show this?
Manga was about, but all that needs to be said is that it's an ecchi manga that portrays a lot of themes of voyeurism, pet play, and age play.
You don't see it.
Now, I don't remember the exact how I found this, but I know it had something to do with the Chitango chat that I, at the time, frequented because it was connected to a website where you could
Fuck me!
just watch anime. A thing like Kiss Anime, but it has a chat box with randos feeding you anime and manga recommendations. It was brought up amongst a chat there, and I read it, and then followed that up with several other ecchi pieces of media that manga websites would list alongside it.
We blame it on manga now.
To clarify, it was this piece of media being talked about with a curious minor in the room, and it
Why
was
did she put that in? I don't know.
this and other related media that made me so desensitized
Jump scared by not the lolly jump scare. Fuck you.
to sexual topics. This
Listen, 2 jump scares don't get me, but what these freaks put in there, that truly scares me.
was what garnered me my initial intrigue. This is precisely why it's important, actually, to not have kids be around NSFW topics and themes, as it's shit like this that endangers them to potentially get groomed or put into other sexually explicit situations. And I know this
You know what, your parents should have turned the internet off until you turn 21. And maybe after that.
now, obviously, but look at where I was leading up to turning 18. I was, knowingly or not, putting myself in danger hanging around these communities. And it's, again, not just the ABDL communities either. I had role plays
These people are the reason I am ashamed to say I read manga. Ha! Weep!
that had furry themes involved. I had inflation roleplay.
You find a bike pump that inflates breasts and butts. Begin.
Macro
You will clothing RP. You will use one of these immediately and constantly get these. Even if you don't want them or even if you take them off. They will also continue to grow uncontrollably. Diapers get poofier and heels get taller.
bimbo, humiliation.
I remember the Doodles tried to steal my likeness. So I'm goes on cats. Bucket of the Crabs. I have a question. Created 6 years ago. I need a reference. How old is your OC? I need to check the accusation.
Futanari S.
Oh god. Act, bimbo, young toddler, young child, as a girl, as a boy, young teen, maid, emperor, horny bimbo, as a sex slave. Tweet, lovestruck, yandere, lovestruck, tsundere, lovestruck, fan, lovestruck, awkward, lovestruck, married. The other like a dog, the other like a cat, the other like a baby, the other like your child. Treat the other like a girl, like a boy, like normal, like a slave, like a master, like your sex slave, or like your best friend. My character date to Armor Core 5 in 2012. Okay, I will believe you. Accusations debunked. The Bucket of the Crabs has debunked the accusations. Applause, and now back to suffering.
Like I had a whole arc OP with basically everything under the sun.
Yeah, this is the OC stealing, but not the BBV Phalosaurus gift of it. Thank you very much for addressing the accusations.
In it. It's frankly no wonder I watched
Doodle review, bondage game.
But again, I was 17 at the time of all of
Future mention with 0 streams without future mentions. Oh, record 0 streams. You know what? And Q isn't even here.
these examples.
Bye, drama.
I was a minor, which still isn't good, mind you. I'm not saying it was, but I am trying to put all of this into perspective. This was more or less my upbringing in my...
I love that they excuse everything, but I was a minor. Well, when Akumu was 16, they didn't care. Cybersmith is into diapers and crazy. He's less cringe about it. You know what? Maybe Cybersmith can fix her. Diaper-Toon stole from Beckett then. New accusations against Doodletones. She stole Beckett's OC. OC thief. The likeness.
18 years. I was always online. I was online home.
No, Cybersmith, he wouldn't address the pet kink, but he definitely has a diaper and trans femme love.
Homeschooled. I was struggling in...
First picture I've labeled mature, but there's a good reason for it. I figure I've had enough of this shit. I am trapped in the wrong body and hate every second of it. I'll be bitched at till the day I die about anything I do, and my mom has pushed me to the edge by making me feel like a pathetic, worthless waste of skin. You know what? After we talked about how I've been doing in school, there's no point in living anymore. I've tried to rationalize with myself for maybe 9 or so years now. And while I know I sound like the first world brat saying that, I really don't see any point for me. I have no purpose on this world, other than to be tormented by even being on this earth as I am. I don't know if this will be the end, but there's a strong chance it may be. Well, apparently she didn't do it in 2014, and now she made it everyone's problem.
Classes, stressed out, and then being desensitized
Oh God,
to
why?
sexual themes, it's a no wonder that I used roleplay like that to escape reality. I know. You don't want to hear I was in a bad place. It's not what I'm saying, but you don't want to hear it anyway, so let's move on then. With all of this laid out, moving into 2015, January 18th rolls around and I become legally an adult. I hit 18. Mind you, I'm still doing roleplays by this point, and while I don't exactly
What? You didn't grow up in a matter of 1 year? Crazy. I thought you hit 18 and suddenly the world makes sense to you.
realize what day I dropped out of high school, I was still definitely stressed the fuck out about it all. So, these roleplays were definitely my go-to. On March 21st, 2015, I released the
You're playing a video game when suddenly a little girl pops out of it.
infamous Game Girl RP. Those who have watched Doodle is Cringe may recall me already addressing this one directly and condemning the action itself. See, to give a bit of context, I was doing online homeschool from 2012 to 2015, and it was just
Online homeschooled? What is this?
downright the worst due to the classes on the site being laid out differently class to class, scheduling problems that caused class gatherings to overlap, and so I'd be marked as absent. My internet connection didn't help matters either, as having a stable connection to do and or turn in the classwork wasn't always there. And well, yeah, I won't lie and
Stop it with the frowny face name. Smile, we're having fun.
say there wasn't some aspects that distracted me. I was connected to the internet, not helped by the fact that I had no outside
Another homeschooling L. I'm sorry, Cloudy.
connections and felt isolated for 3 years of my life. And boy am I glad I'm not in academics currently, because I would not want to go back. Things haven't exactly been better, but I'll take what I got now over what I went through in that time frame. Anyway, the point is that I needed a mental break, shown by the plethora of vent art that I made at the time. And this is where we get into role-playing, specifically
You're on your computer as well. Oh, it's the same as before.
transformation and fetish roleplays.
pretty Doom diaper, pretty much an ABDLRP. Don't see too many of these. Probably for a reason. You find a diaper in the mail with a note that says "Try me" on it.
I won't go too in detail about each RP I did because I don't feel as if there's a lot to talk about, to be honest, which, given how people often talked about it, you'd figure there would be, but there's really not. Most didn't really go anywhere, do anything interesting digging through them. However, there was one that I would be amiss to talk about. The Game Girl RP. Technically, this is out of order since it was 2015, but since we're talking about them now, and this one did spark up a little bit of controversy in 2018 that got some very not-so-nice allegations lobbed at me, I feel like
I wonder why.
Talk about it now. Mainly because of the not...
I stare at the girl, gently ping up. The girl can't be any physically older than 8.
Thought-out descriptor of the character not being physically older than 8 years old, and then having one of the people I was role-playing with have a character that was supposed to be moldable, grow breast only to grope them. It's a little creepy, sure.
No, the other user was at fault.
I don't really have an excuse for how creepy it sounds, and I'm not going to defend it on the basis of it being creepy or otherwise uncomfortable. I was a stupid 18-year-old by this point who didn't know how to tell people that I was uncomfortable.
Again, you couldn't torture this out of me.
Though the purpose of the RP wasn't to be sexual, that's just where the role player took it, and I allowed it. And obviously, 5 years after this roleplay, and I haven't done anything similar since, even when I was still doing the fetishy roleplays in 2016, age 19, I think it's safe to say that I've learned from...
No, freshly 18, you know. An adult minor. I'm feeling violent again. Damn, why?
from this. It was just one of those of-the-time things that I grew from. In any case, yeah, it's creepy. But I learned from where my boundaries were doing these, and they were a good source of escapism during a time where I really needed it, so I don't particularly feel as if I regret having done the RPs, no matter how many people believe that I probably should. It's just one of those things that I can look back at.
Again, and she had already addressed it in another video and disavowed it. So why even making 23 minutes of this?
And cringe, knowing that I grew from. The one thing that I would like to make an addendum for is my lack of regret when last talking about this, because I was made aware of some less than savory things we'll get to here in a sec. But
I didn't show enough regret.